Hello, welcome back to the Spoonie Stitcher channel. I'm Shannon the Spoonie Stitcher, you're inside the Stitchery, and you're here for a tutorial. I know you are. That's why you clicked on this video. You want to make the Spoonie Warrior. So do I. So let's make one right now. All the materials are listed down below. First thing we're going to do is we're going to make the cape. So pick the color of whatever awareness ribbon you would like to represent with your cape, and let's get started. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to make a slip knot. This is my favorite way to make a slip knot. There are a million ways to make a slip knot. This is how I teach it. So I've got my dominant hand pinching the end with the little tail and holding part of the working yarn. Taking my other two fingers and scooping and twisting, and then using those two fingers to grab the long strand through the hole. That's it. Now, cinch that not too tight and not too loose on your hook, and we are going to chain 16. If you've never chained before, no worries. You're going to take your hook and wrap it around the working yarn and pull it through that little loop, like so. We're going to do it again. We're going to wrap, twist, and pull that yarn through. Every little loop is a chain. So right now we have 2 chains. I'm going to go a little faster. 3 chains, 4 chains, 5 chains, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I cannot remember. Did I tell you guys that you need 16? Anyway, we've made 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. There we go. Here we have a front loop and a back loop, because normally they would be sitting like this in a project, and this is the one that's facing you and this is the one that's away from you. But we're going to turn it all the way over. You see those little bumps on the back? They look like little mountains, little ridges. That's what we're going to stitch into. So we're going to skip this first chain because it's pretty much impossible to get inside it anyway. We're going to go in the next chain, and that little bump right there is where we're going to place our first single crochet. So right here. Okay? Then we're going to wrap, pull through the loop, 2 loops on my hook now. Then I'm going to wrap and go through those 2 loops, and congratulations, you made your first single crochet. Now the next one is here. See the little bump that's sticking up? Going to go into the bump, wrap, pull up 1 loop. Now there's 2 loops on my hook, and go through those 2 loops. Let's do that again. In, wrap and pull up, 2 loops, wrap, pull through. This is what I like to say. In, wrap, pull up, wrap, pull through. In, wrap, pull up, wrap, pull through. Okay? So do that all the way across the chain, and I will meet you at the very last bump. How do I know it's the very last bump? It's literally the very last bump. There you go. So here's our last one. I went in, now I'm wrapping, I'm pulling up, I have 2 loops, I'm wrapping and pulling through. You will have 15 single crochet, because remember we skipped the first one, so now we have 1 less number. So we have 15 single crochet. Okay. That is technically all row 1, because I don't really count the chain as a row. So you just completed row 1 of the cape. There you go. For row 2, a lot of people would chain and then turn. I don't do that. I do what's called the alternative chaining method. If you do not know what that is, I'm about to teach you, so it's okay. You're just going to turn your hook, and you're going to go into the very first stitch, this one right here. And you're going to go under those 2 loops. So now we have 2 loops sitting on top. This is a stitch. These little V's are stitches. So we've got one right here, and we're going to go under it. And we're going to wrap and pull up just like we're making a single crochet. And then we are going to actually finish our single crochet, just like that. However, our single crochet is a little too short for this row because this row is double crochet. So what we want to do is we want to take our hook and go through the side right here of this stitch. And then we're going to wrap and pull up a loop through that loop. So it looks something like that. You got 2 loops on your hook, so you wrap and go through 2. And that makes it a good height for a double crochet. So this is called the alternative chain 2. So we're going to make double crochets, and we're going to make 14 of them. Why? Because this counts as a stitch, but this is our alternative turning chain, so this takes up 1 stitch. So you really will have 15 stitches in the row. So let's make a double crochet. We're going to wrap before we go through the stitch this time. Make sure you go under those 2 loops. Make sure you go under the entire V. Wrap and pull up 1 loop. You now have 3 loops on your hook. You're going to wrap and go through just 2 of them and wrap and go through the next 2. Now, see how that was a good height for this stitch? So it'll lay flat across. Let's do that again. Wrap, go under the V, wrap, pull up 1 loop, 3 loops on your hook, wrap, go through 2, wrap, go through 2. I'm going to do this one more time with you, but I have an entire playlist on how to make all the basic stitches, and I will link that playlist down below if you need more help. Wrap, go under the V, wrap, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, wrap, go through 2, wrap, go through 2. I will meet you at the end of the row. Well, right before it, so that I can help you see where the last stitch will be. Okay, you have 1 more stitch. You can see it. It's right on the edge right here. See these 2 loops? Not this one. This one's too far down, and it's not really a stitch. It's just the end of your chain. But right here is your last stitch. You can see the 2 V's. Wrap, go through the V, wrap, pull up, 3 loops, go through 2, go through 2. And look, you should have a nice little flat piece. We are going to do row 3. Row 3 is the repeated row. That means that's the row that you're going to keep doing for the rest of the pattern. And if you're a beginner, I strongly recommend having a stitch marker. So we're going to turn, go into our first stitch, which is right here, and make our alternative turning chain again. Remember, we're going to make a single crochet, then we're going to go to the side of the single crochet, pull up a loop, 2 loops, go through 2. The very top of this is what I want you to mark, right there. So that way you know where the last stitch is going to go when you come back this way. So now we're just going to double crochet across. Nothing new. You just learned how to do this. I'm going to do this with you because I'm going to show you where you put in your last stitch. Okay, your last stitch goes right here. So this is the bottom of the alternative turning chain, and this is the top. Your last stitch goes there. And see, we have a nice straight edge. Okay, repeat row 3 that you just did, and I would probably mark this stitch as well. Not this one, but in the next row, when you make the alternative turning chain, you might want to use a stitch marker like you did here, just to keep track of your rows and to help you know where your last stitch of every row is. How you count your rows is very simple. This tiny little row is our first row, and this is our single crochet. Then we have our double crochet, and then there's a bar right on top of it. That's the next double crochet. What you might want to do is, if you're a beginner, have a little piece of paper and check off every time you go down a row so that you know how many you have completed. This is 3. You're going to go all the way through row 6. That means you complete row 6. Row 7, you're going to do the same thing, but do not turn. And I will meet you at the end of row 7. If you need any help, feel free to back up the tutorial and watch it again. Okay, I have a couple more stitches here. I've got this one. And here's my last one. See, we marked it so we know where the top is. Okay, we're not turning now because you see how our lovely string from the beginning chain is here? We want another one on this side. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and make them the same length. So we're just going to snip our working yarn here, and then we're going to make a chain and pull it all the way out, and then cinch that down to make a little knot. And this is our little Spoonie's cape. So we're just gonna tie it around their neck like that. See? Super easy. Okay. Get a piece of scrap yarn that's a worsted weight or thinner. Get your yarn that you want to make something with. Take your scrap yarn, place it over your fingers, pinch with your thumb, wrap the yarn parallel to itself, and then pinch to hold. Turn your hand, grab your hook, go under with the hook head facing up towards you. Take your finger and hold the 2 strings. Make sure they do not cross, and make sure that you are holding them taut. So you can slip these 2 fingers out. Take the yarn you need to actually make the project with, slip it on your hook, pinch, and pull it through the 2 loops of the scrap yarn. Now chain 1. Whatever your instructions are for the first round, make that. We are making it into the scrap ring. Now we're going to take the scrap ring tails and pull them closer together. Not too close, because we're actually going to do our next round before we pull them all the way tight. Otherwise, we may not be able to get into that stitch right there. That's another little bonus hack for you. At the end of round 2, I'm going to pull up a loop, take my hook out, turn it over. Now I'm going to pull my scrap yarn really tight. Then I'm going to tie 2 knots to secure it. Flip it over, look what you've got. A magic ring. And you can snip these off or keep them for stuffing. To make a magic ring, lay out your fingers like this. So my thumb is up, my pointer finger and my middle finger are faced like this. Take my yarn and drape it over my fingers, like so. Take my thumb, pinch that yarn. My other hand will wrap the yarn in an X formation. Let me show you that again. So remember, it's draped over, my finger has pinched it. I'm going to just wrap my yarn in an X formation. Now I'm going to turn my entire hand, take my ring finger and my pinky, and hold that yarn. Take my hook. Right now, the head, that's what this part is called, the head is facing me. I need it to face downward. Going to slip my hook under this first loop and use my head to catch this and pull it. Now tip my hook like so. Spin my hook. Now don't hold too tight anywhere, otherwise you won't be able to do the next step. Now I'm going to take my hook and grab this yarn and pull it through the little loop we just created, like so. And now look at this. You can let go, and everything is attached. Now we pull the short tail slightly, but make sure there is still a hole through it. And now we start round 2. Yes, we start round 2 before we cinch it all the way closed, because you see this stitch right here? If you pull this all the way tight, that makes this stitch tight, and that makes this hook have to do a much harder job. So let's make his job a little easier. We're going to go into this first stitch right here, and we're going to make 2 single crochet in the same stitch. That is called an increase. I've got 1, and now I've got 2. Strongly recommend marking that first one. It'll help you keep track later. In the next stitch, you're just going to make 1. And we're going to repeat that 2 more times. So here we go. We've got 2 stitches in this one, and 1 stitch in this one. Once more, 2 stitches in this one, and 1 stitch in this one. And now I'm going to do this. You do not have to pull your hook out to do this. I'm just going to do it so I can show you. Now I'm going to use the short tail to pull this closed. I'm going to take my stitch marker out, going to make a stitch where that was, and I'm also going to make a stitch in the next one. And then I am going to mark the side of this stitch. Now, if you're new to my channel, this is my hack. When I'm increasing and decreasing, I mark it on the top. When I'm going around and around in continuous rounds, I mark it on the side. It stays out of my way, helps me count my rows, and it's much easier for me to look at it at a glance and know, oh, I'm going around. I'm not having to worry about increasing or decreasing. It's just a hack I use. You don't have to use it, but it does come in handy. So we are going to make 9 single crochet all the way around. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That was round 3. You are going to repeat round 3 for rounds 4 through 14. So just what we did for round 3, you're just going to keep going. You're just going to go in the next stitch just like this. You're just going to go around and around. 9 stitches every time. So rounds 4 through 14, and I will meet you at the end of round 14. Do not be alarmed at the second stitch marker. What I'm doing is showing you here. This is round 3, and it creates a bit of a line, but it starts to go a little off to the side because you're working in continuous rounds, and that's fine. So we've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and the blue stitch is marking 14. Going to remove my stitch marker because I'm going to be increasing. So I'm going to do 2 single crochet in this first stitch. 1 and 2. I'm going to mark the top of the first one. 1, it tells me I'm increasing because I marked it on the top. And 2, I don't want to lose my place. We're going to increase in every single stitch, so we go from 9 stitches to 18. So just do that in every single stitch. 2 single crochet. It makes a pretty little, like, tiny little fan. The shape will look strange. Trust the process. If you're finding this difficult, I like to hold part of the inside and part of the outside like so that it stops moving on me and twisting. So that's just a little tip if that makes it easier. You can also hold it like this. Kind of looks like we're about to make an elephant, huh? Okay, so now we have this funny little shape, and it's about to get even stranger. The next round, we're going to go 1 stitch, increase. And repeat that around, so we go from 18 to 24. So we've increased by 6 stitches. Don't worry, you don't have to know the math, it's fine. We're gonna go in the first stitch. We're gonna mark it. And then in the next stitch, we're gonna do another one, all by itself. And then the third stitch is where we do the increase. 1, 1, increase. Sometimes it helps to say that to yourself. 1, 1, increase. Bonus trick. So, do you remember how we started the row going 1, 1, and then the increase? You need to end on the increase because it will be the opposite of whatever you started out with. So if you started the round with the increase, the last stitch should be one of those single crochets. If you started with the single crochets, it'll be an increase. You still need to count, you still need to make sure you have 24 stitches, but that is a little like eye trick. See if you might have done it right. So that's just a little trick just for you. Okay. Round 17 through 19 is we're just going to go around and around again. We're just going to go around, and I will meet you at the end of round 19. Okay, so you should have done 17, 18, and 19, and this is the side of your spoon. That's important. This is the side, so it'll look like that. This is a good time to add any eyes or facial details or what have you. You can add safety eyes. I would add them about here. So under round 19, about 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches apart, 4 or 5 stitches. Kind of have them, maybe almost line up with the edges of the handle. So maybe 5 stitches. Yeah. So this is where I would add the safety eyes. If you are adding safety eyes, I would strongly recommend getting your nail clippers and clipping off the back so they're not so long. That is what I do when I make kind of skinny characters so that my safety eyes are not super long. But today we are going to do the false French knot. So this will be perfectly safe for little kids. So I'm going to cut a couple of semi-medium pieces here, like so. So this is the false French knot. I am pretty sure I came up with this. There are other people out there who are doing it now, though, and claiming it as their own, so that's fun. But anyway, you got a piece of string like this. You cross it as if you're going to make a knot. And then you wrap one side like so. 1, 2, 3. Kind of pull that a little bit. Then on the other side, you'll do the same. 1, 2, 3. It's harder with your non-dominant fingers. Then you're going to slowly pull this. Keep your fingers in as long as possible. Slowly pull this together and snug each side in the middle like so. So it makes kind of a ball shape. And of course, you want to make 2 of those. So let's do that again. Cross. Wrap 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Cinch to close. Slowly. Push on the sides to make kind of a ball shape. And there you go. And they should be about the same size. So here's our little spoon. What I'm going to do is I'm going to place them about where I have my needles here. Take these out. I'm just going to place this over, and what you want to do that's very important is you don't want to go in a hole. you probably want to go in a stitch. It's a whole lot easier. Whole lot, get it? Okay, yeah. So I'm going to go between this one. So I'm going to go in this, I'm going to go in between this V-stitch right here, like that. And I am using a slightly sharp needle to do this just because it makes it more secure. You don't have to do that. I just prefer it this way. And on the other side, go in between this V like that. Make sure I can get the tail out. There we go. And turn it inside out. Kind of snug it so it looks like that. And then tie a knot in the back. Couple of knots, just to be sure. And you can trim it if you want to. And toss it to the side so that it's good for stuffing later. So he's got eyes. Now he needs a cute little smile because, you know, he's a Spoonie Warrior. He's happy about his job. Let's give him a little smile. So I'm going to go about, let's see, the eyes are here. 1, 2, about right under this eye, like so. And then I'm going to loosely just kind of let this hang, and then I'm going to go on the opposite side under the second eye. So I'm not pulling super tight. I'm kind of placing where I want my little mouth. Then I'm going to go under that stitch and back through it, really close to it, not exactly through it, otherwise it won't hold. And then I'm going to pull kind of tight, kind of not, because you don't want the little cat mouth. There we go. There we go. That's much cuter. Okay. And then again, you can tie a knot. I'm going to do a couple of curly cues like that so that when I tie the knot, hopefully it doesn't misshape my mouth. And I'm going to fasten off, save these for stuffing. And yeah, there we go. Okay. Last thing is if you want to add any scars. So I'm going to add a scar right here, from here to about here. So wherever you want to put your scars, I'm going to go through the bottom actually, and then come up like that. Don't pull all the way through. Pick where you want your scar. I'm going to put it about here. Then I'm going to go out to the side, under 2 rows, I think, like that. Then I'm going to go across to the other side, down a couple, like that, over, and across, and out the bottom. Like so. Then I'm going to tie a little knot. And hide my tails. Why I say to do this during this step, obviously you can add this later. It's less in the way though if you do it now. And there's no stuffing to deal with. That you might pull stuffing out or anything, that's not a problem right now. So that's why I would do it at this step. Any kind of details that you want to add to your little Spoonie Warrior, do it at this step. Because I just think it'll make your life so much nicer. And we just pull really close and like that. Okay. So there's his little scar, which he kind of looks like it's a football marking, but anyway. So let's proceed to make the rest of this adorable little spoon. I'm sure he is ready for completion. So for round 20, we are going to make the invisible decrease. If you've never done that before, no problem. Go under the front loop like so, under the front loop like so, 2 loops, 1 loop, go under these 2 loops only, and then the next 2. I'm going to show you how to do that again because we're going to do that again later. But So that is the decrease stitch. This is the invisible decrease. It just makes it nicer. Now for the next 10 stitches, just going to single crochet. 1, 2, 10. Okay, we're going to go under the front loop, under the front loop. We now have 3 loops on the hook, 2 really close to each other and 1 kind of far away. The 2 that are really close to each other are the ones we're going to go through. 2 loops left, go through those 2. That is your second decrease. And then we're going to do 10 single crochet again. 1, 10. Count, make sure you have 22 stitches. We're going to do that again. So we're going to invisible decrease, under the front loop, 2 loops, go through 2, go through 2, mark it. And now we're going to do 9 single crochet across, and then another decrease, and then 9 stitches. So I will meet you at the end. Okay, do that again. Now it's 8 stitches. So we're going to decrease in the first stitches. 1, 2, go through 2, go through 2, mark. 8 single crochet across, decrease, 8 single crochet in the back. I'll meet you at the end. This is a good time to stuff. So I'm sticking my crochet hook in there to kind of widen the area. And you can use anything you want for stuffing. I am going to use little yarn scraps. You can use your crochet hook to get them down into that little handle. And we only stuff the handle. We don't stuff the head. So we only stuff up to about round 14. Okay, 2 more rounds to go and then we are done. So this one is round 23. We're gonna decrease and then single crochet all the way around. We're gonna decrease, single crochet, decrease, single crochet, and you will have 12 stitches. Okay, next one and last round. I'm not even going to use a stitch marker because I'm just going to count. We're going to decrease all the way around. So you'll have 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and finally 6. Cut a decent tail for sewing, pull up and out. Flatten it down so that your little spoonie face is in the middle, and if you want to, kind of curve it because it is a spoon after all. And now we're going to close up the head. This is the way I like to close a hole, but of course you can do any method you wish. So I'm just going to go under these front loops, just like we were decreasing with the hook. And we're going to do it 3 times because there's 6 stitches. Then we're going to go down the back gently, only through the first layer. Don't go through both, and get down here towards the handle, right there. So you should be kind of sitting on top of round 14, basically. Then we're going to go through the other side all the way through, like that. And that's why we don't want to pull too hard. Kind of pinch where the mouth is, then go in and out a couple times across. This just kind of separates the handle from the head. Do it on the other side so that, you know, this part stays flat and no stuffing really gets into the spoon head. There you go. There's no real rhyme or reason on how to do it, so. Fasten off, and there you go. And there's your little warrior. And of course, he's got to have his little cape. So we just lay him in like this. It seems too big for him, but just wait. So then we're going to tie this around his little neck. So just kind of place it how you like it. Tie a little bow if you want. And trim the little tie so it's not too long. And fan out the cape. Now, depending on what kind of yarn you used, he may or may not stand up on his own, but let's see. There we go. Oh, there we go. There's our little Spoonie Warrior. Now place him on your desk, put him in your purse, put him in your pocket, take him with you, give him to somebody who really needs to remember that all Spoonies are warriors. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed making your own little Spoonie Warrior. I can't wait to see pictures. Please send them to me. I would love to see them. And I love that people are making them as gifts. That warms my heart. That is so much what I wanted from this pattern. I wanted to spread the love. Some people are saying, I have a sister with Crohn's disease. I have a friend with lupus, you know, stuff like that. And if you made it with any other kind of yarn than the yarn I used or the yarn I showed, then please, please show me and tell me what yarn you used. I would love to see it. I'm still kind of hoping to make like a giant spoon one day. We shall see if it happens. Thank you so much for joining me today. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to the Yarn Zebra family. I would love to have you come back. And remember, the Facebook group is linked down below. You only have to answer 2 questions. They're super easy. One is, what do I say at the end of every video? And the other one is, what do you love about yarn? How easy is that? They get exclusive patterns, exclusive content, and they get to vote on a lot of things and find out about things before they happen. Thank you so much for joining me today. Remember, life happens, yarn helps, and Spoonies can stitch it up too. Bye.